Back in the year 2015, north of the city of Nasca, Peru, and in the same area as the Nasca lines, one night a group of grave robbers were out digging up burial sites they had discovered. Within one of these sites, a tomb, and within, they found around 15 mummies all buried together. They looked similar to us, except for the fact that they had only 3 toes on each foot and 3 fingers on each hand. Some were small, standing around 2 feet tall, while others were large, around 4.5 feet tall. And this is where the story starts to get a little gray. After a multi-year gap from their discovery in 2015, the mummies don't reappear again until August 1st, 2019, when they were donated to the National University of San Luis Gonza in Inca, Peru. The mummies were gifted by a journalist named Jorge Mandela. How did Mandela get a hold of these mummies? I guess this is lost to history. All that we do know, however, is through one event or another, he acquired these specimens, a mixture of both small and large ones, and then proceeded to give them to the university. Intrigued, university staff quickly started testing on these mummies in order to determine their authenticity. During their testing, they found that these are desiccated corpses, which mean they were dried out and have a white powder all over their skin, which is just a dried up algae that formed on them after death. This is what gives them the classic white appearance we associate with mummies today. They have been carbon dated to between 1,000 and 1,500 years old. They have elongated skulls which show no signs of cranial deformation, meaning that they are in fact natural. As said before, they could be grouped into one of 2 categories, small and large. Let's focus on the smaller ones. The smaller mummies have been subject to a lot of debate on their authenticity. More on that in a bit. These smaller ones, from what we could tell, are in fact made of organic matter, meaning that all of its body parts come from something that was once living. If they were stitched together, though, is a little more difficult to explain. The only thing that we know is that one of the small mummies that was examined was revealed to have what appears to be eggs inside of it. The only thing that we know for certain, though, is that whatever these eggs are, that they are made completely of biological material, just like the rest of the mummies. And now for the large ones, which have a lot more research done on them. They have been examined by battery tests by highly credentialed individuals such as Dr. John McDowell from the USA, who is an award-winning forensic scientist, as well as equally credentialed researchers hailing from many other countries around the world. Unanimous consent is that these mummies consist of 100% biological material, meaning that they were not stitched together and are in fact real creatures. 30% of the DNA found within is human. The remaining 70% is anomalous, meaning that it doesn't match anything. Also, just for some context here, we share 40% DNA match with a papaya tree. So 30% match human does not mean that these things are part human at all, providing that we are closer to a tree than we are to whatever these mummies are. The fingerprints on them are horizontal in position, unlike human fingerprints, which are more of an oval shape. Their skulls are elongated and do not show any signs of cranial headboarding, meaning that they are natural, just like the smaller ones. Also, the skin is very rough, almost reptile-like. They have huge eye sockets, much larger than ours. And probably the most convincing part of the whole story is that 2 of these mummies are in fact pregnant. One in particular lays in a position with her hands covering her womb. This was initially ignored until one of the researchers looked at her and thought, I wonder if she's pregnant. This launched further investigation, which revealed that 2 of these mummies are pregnant, and the unborn babies found within look just like their mothers and have all the same physical features that come along with it. The long 3 fingers and toes, the elongated skulls, their eyes, all of it. And in case you were wondering, the unborn babies are real also, composed 100% of biological material. No glue or stitches to be found. So let's address the elephant in the room. Are these things real, or is this just a made-up legend? Well, with how gray the information available is, that would be my first assumption. There is just one issue with that though. The government response to the story. Upon discovery of these mummies, the Peru Ministry of Culture's position initially started out as these are just a hoax, nothing to see here. This is the government agency within Peru who manages research and preservation of all historical sites located within the country. This started to change, though, after further research and testing was completed, showing that there is no evidence that could be found to prove that these mummies are in fact a hoax. This resulted in multiple hearings that took place within the Peruvian and Mexican Congress, where more questions were raised. This is when the Peru Ministry of Culture's position quickly turned from "this is a hoax" to hostilities about anything having to do with these creatures. Any questions or information towards their discovery and what this may mean for our timeline, but also the question of if we are in fact alone in the universe, are instantly considered to be fake, even in the face of mounting evidence telling us the opposite. They have also attempted to force seize the specimens being held at the University of Inca now 6 times since their arrival. All of these times being turned down by university faculty who barricaded the doors and would hide the specimens in order to prevent their seizure. Not all of the Peru Ministry of Culture's attempts, though, have been in vain. Back in 2015, a package was traveling from an airport in Lima, Peru, en route to Mexico. During routine scans and security checks, multiple packages were discovered, with what appear to be mummified dolls standing around 2 feet tall being shipped via DHL from Peru to Mexico. Shortly after discovery of these packages, the Peru Ministry of Culture quickly was notified, where they intercepted the packages in question to find that multiple small mummies were inside and in the process of attempted smuggling out of the country. They were found dressed in traditional Andean garb, so that they looked like small dolls to conceal their identity. After they were discovered, the Ministry of Culture took the specimens back to their lab, where only a few short days later came out with a statement determining that these mummies were fake, not once living, breathing creatures, and that all of the alien mummies found were in fact fake. Their justification was that different parts of the doll DNA matched to other known animals, and that the joints were all being held together by some type of glue or synthetic material, meaning that the dolls were assembled and made utilizing multiple parts from known animals. After this announcement was made, authorities were quick to track down the individual who was trying to ship them out of the country, where he was interrogated. All that we know from what happened during this time is that a later statement by the individual in question was made where he admitted to fabricating these mummies to make them seem like the actual alien mummies. His reasoning for making these fakes was so that he was able to sell them abroad. Further research into the matter also reveals some questionable motives of the ministry. Motives that may have led them to fabricate this whole ordeal in order to try to generate proof that these were not in fact aliens. But what we do know today is that these dolls that were found within the airport are not the ones that were found in Peru years earlier. So where are things today? The official story so far states that there is no definitive proof that has been found to support that these are in fact a hoax. This is so far all we've been able to get the official explanation to admit to today. Now, what about the researchers involved at the University of Inca? Their hypothesis is that all of these mummies, both small and large, were once alive. They believe that the large ones, in fact, were a hybrid species between humans and whatever the small creatures were. The question still remains, though, about not only what these things are, as we covered in this video, but the question of where did they come from. The first theory is that the creatures are in fact a product of genetic experiments. In order for this to be true, proponents believe that there could be some type of superior knowledge to humans. This could be a god of some kind, or as a lot of people hypothesize, a race of non-human beings far more advanced than us, performing genetic engineering between humans and something else. If this were true, though, that would mean that thousands of years ago, humans were visited by some extraterrestrial species who proceeded to bioengineer us into what these mummies are. This theory in particular has gained ground with the South American researchers involved in ongoing research. The second theory is that these creatures are not humans, but instead a subterranean humanoid species inhabiting the ground far beneath our feet. Aliens, perhaps, but aliens that don't come from another world, but instead ones that have been living with us since the beginning of humanity. Proponents tie the cranial head binding practice of indigenous people to them, possibly trying to emulate whatever these creatures are. This humanoid species is said to be far more advanced than humans are today. Stranger still, this also ties into a lot of UFO stories that we hear today, with UFOs being recorded entering the side of mountains, diving beneath our oceans, and hovering in our sky. Something that we view as new, but have actually been with us since the beginning. This also ties into belief that the Nazis had during World War II, where they described beings similar to the mummies that were discovered that they believed lived underneath the Earth's surface. They believed this so much that during World War II and even prior to the start, the Nazi government funded multiple expeditions to places like South America and Antarctica in order to try to make first contact with these humanoid creatures. Whatever the story is, though, I definitely believe that these specimens are something that need to be gaining a lot more attention than what they currently are. Whether you believe it's aliens or something else, all theories should be looked at and examined thoroughly before you write it off as being not true because they don't fit a particular narrative. As time progresses, though, we will see what new events and discoveries take place as we take the path not traveled. Thank you for watching.